It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream.
Almost every child has heard Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Almost every child has heard of Rosa Parks' nonviolent protest against bus segregation. These were the civil rights campaigns of the 1950s and the early 1960s. However, the civil rights campaigns of the late 1960s were just as important in bringing about social change.
The late 60s represented a shift from the traditional civil rights narrative. After winning many legal fights, such as the end of legalized segregation in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and ensured safety for African Americans exercising their right to vote in the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the movement began to shift its focus. Now, instead of fighting legalized segregation, they were fighting de facto segregation, or segregation based off of economic inequality rather than discriminatory laws.
This allowed for many other minorities to become encapsulated in the civil rights movement, especially those who faced employment discrimination. Due to the shift in focus from the Jim Crow South and due to urban migration, the civil rights movement was no longer centered in the South, but was marked by large urban centers throughout the country, such as Chicago and Oakland.
But one cannot look at the changes to civil rights in this era without looking at the Black Power movement. They believed that peaceful cooperation through mere legislation wasn't enough and began to shift away from goals of assimilation and towards ideas of black pride and racial distinctiveness.
Everybody knows that all the people don't have liberties, all the people don't have freedom, all the people don't have justice, and all the people don't have power, so that means none of us do.
All right, so tough.
In America, black people are treated very much as the Vietnamese people or any other colonized people, because we're usually there not to, in our community, not to promote our welfare or for our security and our safety, but they're there to contain us, to brutalize us and murder us.
Though the new violence and radicalism of the movement was greatly critiqued, the activism of this era was finally beginning to tackle the deep racial prejudices that lay at the heart of American society.
We want full employment for our people, decent housing, fit for shelter of human beings. Want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people.